It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
Parents of gay children say, I want my son, my gay son, to have the same opportunity to come to me and say, hey, Dad, I'm getting married, as my non-gay son or my non-gay daughter.
The heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
You might just need to satisfy yourself sexually alone at that point.
Do I regret it? Not one bit. Did I think that I would actually take it the next step and do it again?
And what goes into their life, how they handle it. There are 12 houses, and each one of those houses has a particular function.
Look into yourself, think about it, and just be whoever it is that speaks to you.
Hello and welcome to Talking About. Tonight we have a full half hour on a very important topic. We're going to be talking about detoxification. And I have two doctors, one you've seen before, one is new to the program, Dr. Reich and Dr. Yanez. Welcome.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Well, let's start with just what is detoxification? Because a lot of people probably don't know, and they think it relates to alcoholism or something like that.
No, we talk about detoxification. Like you said, most people would think about alcoholism or maybe getting off drugs. But in reality, we are constantly consuming things in our diet and taking in the air, things which are making our bodies toxic, and as a result of which, there's a lot of chronic diseases which we experience as a result of toxicity within our body.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are a number of different things, both in the environment, as Dr. Reich was saying, and in our foods that we eat, which actually can sometimes build up in our body or cause our bodies not to function as properly as they normally should.
Okay, well, let me use myself as an example.
Sure.
I've been very busy the last few days. So this morning, wake up, bagel with jam, out the door, pack a quick lunch, which a couple of leftover chicken legs and a couple of hard-boiled eggs as a snack.
Mm-hmm.
And then I run to the studio, and it's pizza for dinner with, a nice tall glass of soda.
Very typical. You are a normal American.
You are a normal American.
You are a normal American.
Sad. Sad is a standard American diet. You are sad. And these type of things, this type of lifestyle, if you do it once, if you have a normally healthy diet, and then once in a while you go on a little binge like that, not a problem. But what we do is we live a lifestyle where we're constantly doing that, where people may go to McDonald's. I don't want to say anything bad. I don't even want to mention any names. But they can go to fast food restaurants 3-4 times a week, sometimes a few times a day. And it builds up into the system and causes what's called toxicity within our body, which in turn is going to affect our health in many adverse ways. As a chiropractor, people are coming to me mainly for musculoskeletal problems, back pain, neck pain, headaches, things like that. But as a doctor which treats the whole body, a holistic doctor, I have to recognize that there are other things involved as well, and sometimes we have to make changes in their lifestyle or put them on a nutritional regimen which is designed to not only be good nutrition, but to cleanse the inside of their body, cleaning from the inside out. And that's a good indication, that's a good definition of detoxification. We want to clean from the inside out.
Are there symptoms that people should look for to show that they need cleansing or detoxification?
Absolutely. There are actually numerous symptoms, and oftentimes the patients that come in who are in need of detoxification are people who are suffering from things that maybe aren't even really a big name illness, but they just don't generally feel well. Their body isn't functioning optimally, so they may be experiencing fatigues, chronic headaches, muscle aches and pains, bowel problems, so problems with their digestive system. There are a number of different complaints that will come in that can benefit. Now, those aren't the only complaints that benefit from detoxification. I've seen skin diseases clear up from doing cleansing and detoxification, and also from patients removing things in their diet that are not helping them and are not helping their bodies stay as healthy and heal themselves like they should.
Could it be as simple as removing one item from a diet, say
it may be
eliminating the soda?
Absolutely. For some people, I have seen illnesses go away with removing one food. But other people can be more complicated. And some of the other patients that will come in are more of the complicated cases where they've seen every doctor in the book. They've had every lab test run, but yet they're still not feeling better, and the doctor cannot pinpoint exactly what's going on. And so oftentimes we'll need to go a step further. Okay, well, the labs aren't showing anything, but you're still having symptoms. And so we need to do a little more detective work and find out what's happening. And oftentimes these patients will benefit from picking out the things for them. Now, it may be as simple, like you said earlier, as one type of food, or they may need, you know, a rehaul or
an overhaul of
absolutely, of their entire diet, and maybe their lifestyle. Because the other thing about detoxification is it's not only nutritional things that may be causing toxicities in the body. Certain patients respond to different types of toxicities. You know, we live in New York. Our air is not the most pure of air that there is.
Never would have known.
You never would have known, me neither. I've heard. But the air that we breathe, there are chemicals in just about everything that we come in contact with in our day-to-day basis. And so some people react to those chemicals, whether it be on a cognizant level, it's something that they can really say, hey, you know, when I smell a perfume, I get sick. You know, when I come in contact with a cleaner or, you know, some type of chemical product.
I mean, just about everybody can identify with that.
I'm sure.
Many allergies are the result of toxicity within the human body. Even things like elevated cholesterol levels are the result of toxicity. You know, we talk about cholesterol, and people say, well, I've made changes in my diet. I don't eat as many eggs, I don't eat as many fried foods. The reality is that the liver can produce more cholesterol than you probably could possibly take into your diet. And if the liver is toxic, which is one of the major organs of elimination, this, as a result, can form extra cholesterol, which in turn gets into the circulation, and we see the high cholesterol levels. And when you begin a detoxification program, one of the things you'll notice is that the cholesterol levels go down. You know, sometimes when people tell you that, well, I've reduced my intake of cholesterol in their diet, in essence, what they're really doing is they're putting less stress on their liver, and as a result, their liver is clearing out, and that's what's lowering the cholesterol levels. It's not what they're putting in their mouth, it's the fact that their own body is not churning out as much cholesterol. So that's one sign.
Absolutely. Well, and going back to the liver is the major organ for changing the chemicals that we come in contact with. And so all of the chemicals that we're on a day-to-day basis coming in contact with, the liver is responsible for making those chemicals not so toxic. And so one of the other things that the liver does is it metabolizes, or it changes the hormones in our body. And so along the lines of making cholesterol, the liver is also responsible for modifying estrogens. And so many women who will have female complaints, menstrual problems, PMS, problems with menopause, oftentimes the liver is really what is going on and involved, and the major organ that may need some work in addition to other things, but helping the hormonal balance of the body as well. And so that's something that the liver can sometimes be overlooked on, and that if you focus on detoxification, cleansing at the liver, helping the liver to function more optimally, then many symptoms, in addition to the ones that I mentioned, like hypercholesterolemia and like female disorders and hormonal disorders, can clear up.
And the American diet, which seems to be devoid with a lot of fiber, actually causes digestive systems to slow down. So some people are pretty happy if they go to the bathroom, have a bowel movement once a day, once every other day, and they consider that normal. But the way the human body is supposed to work, you should be, if you're eating 3 meals a day, you should be having 3 movements a day. And most people they wouldn't think of that ever happening. And that's one indication of detoxification. And that's where detoxification, one of the things we want to do initially, is to get everything going, to improve elimination. And we, in turn, will recommend certain lifestyle changes. We're going to be adding some nutritional supplementation into their diets to help move everything along, help unclog the organs of elimination.
Okay. How might an individual come to realize that they need to go through this process? And if somebody just expresses concern about one symptom, how do they know that there's an overall problem?
Well, when you take a history, the more detailed you are with taking a history, the more information which you can find. Dr. Yanez is a doctor of naturopathic medicine, and when you go to a doctor, a medical doctor, and you get a history taken, it may take 3-4 minutes to actually take the history. But let Dr. Yanez, she'll tell you about what's involved in actually taking a history on a patient who has toxicity or suspected toxicity.
Right. Okay.
Well, one of the things with an initial visit to a patient or for a patient of mine is they will notice the difference between myself and my visit than what they're used to with their conventional doctor. My first office visit is usually at least an hour. And the reason why it is at least an hour is because I go in extreme detail with all of their organs. I am focusing on a holistic approach, and something that we can talk about further is the way that we deal with illness. And so in order to deal in a more holistic way, I can't just focus on this one symptom that you're coming in today with.
Right.
We need to talk about the cause of that symptom. And I always use the example of headaches. How many people have had headaches? If we ask our audience, just about everybody has had a headache at some
Right.
point. What are some reasons for headaches?
I used to get headaches after I had hot dogs.
Okay.
And it took me a long time to make the connection.
Sure.
But
So foods can cause headaches, musculoskeletal problems can cause headaches, stress,
Irritated nerves.
crying, alcohol, numerous things can cause headaches.
crying.
Absolutely.
Why?
Why? Crying can cause increased circulation in the head, and after the increased circulation in the head, sometimes there will be what we call vasospasms, or spasming of the blood vessels afterwards. And also, oftentimes when you're crying, there's some stress involved and things of that sort. And so, but my point is, though, that there are numerous reasons.
Just caught my attention.
That's okay. That's all right. Ask the questions. My point being that there are numerous reasons for headaches, but how many causes did we just name? And there are so many more. And so by, 2 people could come in complaining of headaches, but if I don't address, well, when you have hot dogs, you get headaches, so what do we need to do? We need to eliminate the hot dogs. But with somebody else, it may be a totally different reason.
Right.
And so by focusing on the cause of that individual's illness, we're not only going to have them feel better, but we're going to teach them how to prevent the problem from ever coming back. And so if you eat a hot dog, that you should expect a headache.
Right, but could I also psych myself into the headache? But that's going off on another tangent. Yeah, but I also probably need to look at the ingredients in the hot dog.
Absolutely, and see, and maybe isolate which one of those ingredients is doing the job. And so the basic thing here, though, is that during this history, during the initial visit, we're taking into account what the patient is coming in with and what that individual is coming with, and that's the most important thing, because many people say, well, how come I need an hour?
Right, I was thinking this as you were telling the process.
Right.
And so many people are used to assembly line medicine
Sure.
these days. And, you go in, you sit in the waiting room, you get called, they draw blood, you go sit in the waiting room, you go to the exam room, breathe in, breathe out, you go back to the waiting room, and then you go and you get whatever you need.
This is different medicine. This is more the medicine that your grandparents grew up with. This is the family doctor that knew the family, that spent time, that knew all the ins and outs of a person's life, and knew about about the family problems, knew about your stress, knew about your job, knew about your religion, knew everything. And by taking that approach and going backwards almost a step to the older ways of doing medicine, we're actually able to help patients on a very large scale, because we're not only focusing just on that symptom, but we're addressing the fundamental causes of why they're not feeling well.
It's cause and effect. Many times what we consider a disease entity in the body is actually an effect of a cause. But we call the effect the actual disease, and we treat the effect instead of looking for the primary cause, which in many cases can be this buildup of toxins within the human body. We should also talk a little bit about what the process of detoxification is,
Yes.
how we go about doing it with patients.
And since we're there, let's...
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead?
All right. Well, let's start first with detoxification, you can't just jump into detoxification. This is not a quick fix type of situation. It's a process which can go on for weeks and months in order to bring us to the point of what's called maximum improvement. So the first thing which we have to consider when you go through a detoxification process is you got to build up the body. The body has to be to a certain degree strong enough so that this way when the toxins start being released, we can handle them without being very headachy, without being sick. Some people, when they begin to develop symptoms, and they say, well, it's these herbs, these vitamins which we're taking. No, it's not the herbs and the vitamins which we're taking. The herbs and the vitamins may be doing their right thing. It's these toxins which are being released from the human body. It may be the result of the fact that you may have been drinking 4 or 5 cups of coffee, and we've weaned you off down to 1, or some people just try to go without coffee altogether.
Oh, we can.
That's another reason.
That's going to cause another problem over here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to build up the body, and usually we would make recommendations for certain nutrition. The type of nutrition I like to recommend is what we call a superfood combination, which consists of some of the highest quality dried pond scum known to exist in man. One of which is spirulina, which is a blue-green algae, and then we have chlorella, which is a green algae, and they use beetroot and orange peel and many other things which are designed to build up the body to a certain degree, but they also do have a detoxifying effect at the same time. It's a relatively mild one during that initial phase, but there is some detoxification going on. But what we want to do first is we want to build up the body so that it's strong when we begin to the detoxification process so they can handle it. And I think the second thing, and I'll let Dr. Yanez talk a little bit about this, is the detoxification of the colon. You want to clear up the pathways. You want everything, you want to be able to eliminate as easy as possible. Absolutely. Because when the toxins start coming out, the idea is to get them out of the system as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Right. And one of the main things with detoxification, and one of the reasons why people sometimes have negative effects from detoxification, is that what's actually happening is we're removing or releasing these toxins, but if the body, as Dr. Reich had begun to say, if the body's way to eliminate these toxins is not functioning properly, what are we doing? We're recirculating them. And so, of course, you're going to feel sick. If we're letting these toxins go and we're releasing these toxins, and then we're just recirculating them in your body and they're going to deposit someplace else. Right. And so we need, one of the first things that you need to do with detoxification is make sure that somebody is able to eliminate. And so like we said with the bowel movements, that you have to be making sure that a person is having regular bowel movements. That's one of the ways, or one of the things that we call organs of elimination. And the organs of elimination would be the liver and the digestive system, the kidneys, okay, and the urinary bladder, the skin, and the lungs.
Skin's an amazing organ of removing toxins. I mean, sometimes when a patient comes into the office and they take off their shoes, I say, this person's going to have to go and get detoxed. I mean, that's one sign. I mean, the situation is when a person does have smelly feet, that's an indication. That's a great sign that the patient certainly is toxic. They're releasing these toxins from their body. They're doing it, but they're very toxic, and that's why it's coming out of their body pores, too.
Okay, but it should normally just come out through the...
We should be able to eliminate toxins through respiration, through the feces, through the urine. But if more toxins are coming in and accumulating than we can get rid of, we're actually having a surplus of toxins in the human body. Surplus usually means something good. In this particular case, it's something bad. Right. Another aspect of detoxification is when you're going through the program, you just, you have to eat things which are less toxic, because the last thing you want to do is eliminate it at one end and put it in on the other end. Right. The idea is to get it out as much as you possibly can.
Is there a moderate way to adjust your diet so that it's not a shock to the palate? Yeah. Okay,
well, that's the idea of having it closely monitored, and that's what one of the things which Dr. Yanez does is it requires monitoring. It's not something where you go to the doctor once, you talk for an hour, and the doctor all of a sudden says, all right, do this, 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 and then forget about you. No, this is something which requires monitoring. Sometimes a patient may detox too fast, and then by speaking with, the naturopath, what would happen is that, all right, hold up on this a little bit, don't do this, and we're going to slow down the process. Yes, it's going to take longer, but you only have your whole life to worry about it. So just, take your time. You want to be able to do it successfully. Another thing which you find also is that when people begin to feel better after detoxing, initially people are told, well, you can't have this, you shouldn't do this, and they say, oh, you're blowing me out with this stuff, it's just I can't do all these things together. Well, you can actually modify it so that you kind of build it into their lifestyle. But when improvements are starting to get noticed by the patient, now all of a sudden the patient will say to themselves, well, maybe I shouldn't, maybe for dessert, maybe I won't have that chocolate cake. That bowl of fruit salad, that looks pretty good. And they will be, they psychologically find things which are healthier, which they would take instead. So this is something which does occur in the process of detoxification.
So, and is it possible to sort of get into a reward type mindset? Say, for example, if somebody's dieting and they set a goal for themselves, okay, when I lose 5 pounds, I can have the chocolate cake. And if taking that principle and applying it to detoxification, when I start to feel better, I can treat myself to this. It
depends. It depends on the person. It depends on how sick they were coming in to begin with. I've seen patients who are so toxic that they are having neurological symptoms, that they're forgetful, they're having actual nerve symptoms. And sometimes those people, even just a little bit, is going to be enough to push them over the edge so that their symptoms will be too severe for them. But it depends. If you have gone through detoxification and a series of detoxes, because some patients, like we were talking about earlier, there's almost too much garbage to take it out with just one run. And so sometimes you do have to go back a couple more times, maybe a couple months later, and do another mild detoxification later on, and gradually clean house. And so sure, once you've gotten the house a little bit cleaner, you can put a little bit of garbage back in. But once you take this and it becomes a lifestyle for you, one of the things that we see with patients is that they don't want to make those choices anymore because they're feeling so good. Headaches are going away, insomnia is going away, things that have plagued them and caused them quality of life and their quality of life to go down are now gone. And so they feel so good they don't want to go back to the old way. And they say, you know what? The chocolate cake really isn't worth the chronic fatigue.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not worth it. It's not worth how lousy I feel afterwards.
The rush and the crash.
Exactly. And so for some people, they may make that choice. And for others, they may say, well, you know what? I love my chocolate cake, and I gotta have it. And so I am just going to know that when I eat chocolate cake, I'm not gonna feel so hot. And then, in a couple months, every couple of months or so, I'll do a little maintenance cleaning house. And that's another way of kind of going through this as well, and that you can use this for maintenance and maintaining a wellness for your body too.
Sometimes there's a domino effect also, where a person will begin to detoxify and they'll begin to feel better they'll feel better themselves, and they'll feel better about themselves, and they'll say, well, maybe I should start exercising now. And they begin to exercise again. And they do things which are part of being of a healthy lifestyle, which prior to doing the detoxification, they didn't do, because they didn't feel healthy. When you're toxic, things are not clear. Even your mind is not clear. But as soon as you begin to clear out your body, your mind clears out, and now you start taking those action steps which are necessary to feel better, to continue with this process of returning back to health. You see, the human body was designed to be healthy, but we live in a world, we live in an environment where it's kind of working against us. And we have to sit back, look at it, and say, what can we do to make ourselves healthy again? What changes are necessary? And one of the changes certainly would be to get the inside of your body cleaned out via various detoxification programs.
Okay, and where can people find information about these programs?
The best place, thank God for the internet, because
Absolutely.
The internet, what I like about the internet is it gives you options. Okay, it's not just there are some detoxification programs involved with making teas, and a lot of Chinese herbalists have various herbs which they put together to detoxify. There are other formulas. One doctor in particular, Dr. Richard Schulz out of California, he has a very good quality detoxification program, which he recommends. And again, you can look online
so
for that.
If you do a search on just the word detoxification,
yeah, You'll find it.
Absolutely.
You'll find plenty of information. There's no shortage of information.
Okay, and where can people get in touch with you?
My website is www.dryanez.com.
Okay, and I will have a link to that on the talkingabout.info
Excellent.
website. And where can people reach you?
They can best reach me at my office, which is the Richmond Hill Chiropractic. And can I give the number?
Yes.
Okay, 718-847-5252.
Okay, well, in the last 30 seconds, is there any one point that you want to get across to the viewers?
Okay, with wellness, because what we're doing is we're not focusing on illness anymore. We're focusing on wellness. This is a program and this is a protocol for the rest of your life.
Okay.
This is what you have to do for the rest of your life for wellness and for prevention of disease. And that's the main focus for health, should be prevention and wellness.
Well, and it's been a great half hour. I want to thank you both for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you, John.
And I will have that information on the www.talkingabout.info website. Before we go, we're going to check in with Dr. Cynthia. I want to thank you again, and I will see you next time. Bye now.
Welcome to Ask Dr. Cynthia. I'm Dr. Cynthia Pizzulli, certified sex therapist and psychotherapist here on Long Island. Today we have an email from Joe, who writes, "My wife and I have been married for 9 years. Things have slowed down in the bedroom department. It seems like we just exist around each other. What can I do to rekindle the fire?" This is a very common problem, Joe, in couples today. There's so many things going on. It's very hard to find time to connect, and definitely it's very difficult to find time to have sex. The most important thing is to sit down with your wife and talk to her. Find out how she feels about it. Actually ask her, what do you think I could do to actually make you feel rekindled? And then you can tell her some of the things you would like her to do in order to make things more romantic or make you feel more aroused or more like you want to have sex. And if that doesn't work, definitely consider seeing a couples therapist, because if you both talk to some professional who can help you identify the problem, you can also try to come up with some interventions to improve your love life. Thank you for writing. If you'd like to send me an email, you can do so at AskDrCynthia@talkingabout.info or write to the address on your screen.